Hey, what's up everyone? Welcome to Let's Talk, the series that... This is your friendly neighborhood Birdman, and today we're talking Godzilla Minus One. So Godzilla Minus One is a complete throwback to classic Toho Godzilla kaiju films and tells the story of Koichi, a kamikaze pilot that doesn't want to kill himself, so he pretends his plane is having technical issues and lands on a nearby Japanese island outpost. While getting his plane worked on, a young Godzilla appears on the island and kills nearly everyone at the outpost, leaving Koichi traumatized by the event. Upon returning to post-war Japan, Koichi, filled with the shame of not performing his war duties, happens upon an orphan woman and a child, and they become a makeshift family over the next few years. Unfortunately, Godzilla emerges to terrorize Japan once again, only this time bigger and far more dangerous. So there's a reason I gave the synopsis the way I did, and that's because more than simply being a throwaway kaiju film, this movie's plot is extremely well crafted and actually cares about its human cast. Unlike the complaints I have about Legendary's MonsterVerse, the human plot is the selling point of this film, and it makes the appearances of Godzilla actually matter when they do happen. Be forewarned. This is a Japanese melodrama told in the Japanese language that plays this story completely straight. If you are not into anime, specifically subtitled anime, you are probably going to have a difficult time with this film. That's right, people that watch dub anime, this is going to require you to read words on a screen. I know, horrifying, isn't it? But in all seriousness, this film is outstanding. There isn't a single wasted moment. Koichi is a troubled man dealing with PTSD from his encounter with Godzilla and the dishonor of not having killed himself in a kamikaze attack. This is the meat and potatoes of the film, and they absolutely nailed it. The characters are completely believable, and you really get the sense of desperation and despondent air of post-war Japan, where people are trying to reconcile the fact they've just lost a war and their cities have been decimated. One thing I've always hated in the non-Japanese Godzilla films is the focus on the cookie-cutter humanoid tropes that Hollywood continues to peddle out, with silly love stories nobody asked for and the dumbass Godzilla is a misunderstood anti-hero trope that plagues American versions. Nuh-uh. Godzilla is absolutely the villain this time around, killing people for no apparent reason and absolutely fucking shit up. This is the most brutal version of Godzilla I have ever seen, and he is not playing around. This version of the legendary monster is straight out of a disaster film, haphazardly laying waste to the Ginza district of Tokyo. If you thought Godzilla was firing off that laser in Godzilla vs. Kong, wait until you see this version of the attack. The King of Monsters is a walking hurricane of destruction, and every time you see him will be filled with dread and tension, and that's why his sparse appearances are so good. They don't show the characters so much that you get desensitized to the kaiju, and this works in the film's favor. Actually, there's an unsettling droning sound effect that happens when Godzilla is on screen, and that actually made me squirm in my seat. Seriously, if someone came away with the take of this being more of a horror film, I wouldn't disagree.
Godzilla?
If I had to nitpick the film for negatives, I have two. The first is the iconic Godzilla roar. It's not here, or rather, it is here, but it isn't immediately recognizable, which I felt was a missed opportunity. They play Godzilla as a dinosaur, and his roar is somewhat generic dinosaur until the tail end of the sound effect, which has the familiar echo of the original sound effect. Legendary's MonsterVerse has the better Godzilla roar, in my opinion. The second nitpick is the way Godzilla's lower body looks when he's on land walking. He's slow and plodding and very deliberate with his steps, and it has such a goofy juxtaposition with how serious the rest of the film is. The CGI looks very slightly uncanny when he walks, and it kind of pulled me out of the moment simply because I was smiling to myself about how silly it all appeared. But as I said, these are nitpicks and don't detract from what is otherwise a nearly flawless film, with the beautiful cinematography, insane special effects, and absolutely killer soundtrack. You will not believe this film was made on a budget of $15 million. Yeah, you heard that number right. This is one of the best films I've watched this year, and it rightfully earns an A+.